Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Kerbal Space Program. I've had this game for quite some time, and have been trying to figure out a good way of doing it, and, well, I don't have a great way of doing it as a series, but we're going to go ahead and do so anyway. So, the latest version 0.22, added a career mode, so we are going to start up the Gaming with Kerbals game. In career mode, let's look at our flags. If anybody would like to submit a flag, then I will see if I can figure out how to add the new flag to our options. But for the time being, we will use the spheres flag. That looks interesting. I will say that I have played quite a bit in various times. I'm not great at Kerbal Space Program, at flying the ships or anything, but I know the basics of it. I watch Kurt and Ziso and those guys play. So here's our space, Kerbal Space Facility here. We have our tracking center, which will show us ongoing missions, our launch pad, our spaceplane hangar, if we decide to fly around in little airplanes, or space planes as the case may be, and our vertical assembly building. This is where we build our main spaceships. We'll get to that in a minute. Our astronaut training center, where we can choose new astronauts to join our space program, and the science building. This is where we research new parts for our spaceships. So right now, the only one that we can work towards researching is this basic rocketry, and how hard can rocket science be anyway? So right now, we have a limited number of parts, and we are going to go and build a rocket with them. So first of all, we are actually going to go to the launch pad with a rocket with nothing on it, because we want to hop out and get a surface sample, a soil sample from right here, right next to our launch base, or launch facility. Because that seems like a good idea. So let's go ahead and grab a crew report, and we'll keep that. Let's go ahead and go on an EVA and let go. We are going to run over here and get off of the launch platform and take a soil sample from right here. See all of the various tanks of fuels. I don't know if I'll be able to get back up on this launch platform, but we'll be able to recover from down here, I believe. The exhaust vents. So go ahead and take a surface sample. Look, value of 9 science. We'll keep that. We'll get an EVA report as well. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it? No, probably not. Hopefully that did not mess up the recording too much. If I end up accidentally clicking outside of the window in full screen mode, then it messes with the resolutions and causes all kinds of problems. So hopefully that didn't do too much. Might be a weird cut there. Okay, so let's wander back over to our capsule. We're going to hop back in and claim our science here. I know this is kind of a silly first mission, but we got to get the science from right around here. Okay, so let's recover vessel and see what we get. So 12 science earned from this mission. Because we got a crew report, we got a surface sample, and we got our little EVA report. Silly, but it does let us unlock the first tier here. And now the next ones are going to cost us 15 science, 18 science, and 20 science. So these will give us different ways that we can expand our rocket. And let's go back and let's build a rocket that actually makes sense this time. So we got our capsule. Let's go ahead and we're going to put this on here. Then we're going to put a stack decoupler in place. We want a parachute on the top. This will let us do, give us some room to put some science things. So we're going to put a goo container on each side of this. It would probably be easier if I just did this. Like that. Those are too low. There we go. Got our goo containers. And now, we're not going to put an antenna on this one because we probably are not going to actually get into orbit with this first ship. Just because we don't have a lot of power available, and we don't have a way of decoupling different rocket stages very effectively. But we're going to go ahead and stick a couple of fuel tanks on here. I'll put one of these on. Then we'll go ahead and we'll put another decoupler in, and we might be able to make this work. It's hard to say. Let's see if I can get it. There we go. We might be able to do something here that will allow this to work, although it's going to be kind of odd design. Now we're going to take this again and hook 4 more of these on just like that. And I think our first spacecraft here is going to be done. So we're going to call this the Gaming with Kerbals. Flyer Alpha. Because why not? Let's save it. And let's head on over to the launch pad and see how this will end up working out. Okay, so we are sitting on the launch pad, and now let's double check our staging. Looks like we should be in good shape here. We'll go ahead and observe the mystery goo on the launch pad here. Keep the data, and with that, there's nothing more for it but to go ahead and launch and see how this ends up working. So without further ado, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, SAS on and launch. And hopefully this is not too loud. It's definitely accelerating well, but the rockets are overheating. And they are about to explode. But the good news is it left the center one, and it's no longer overheating. Let's go ahead and drop that off. And we're going to go ahead and kick off our upper stage. I'm going to do a little bit of a turn so that we can get some distance between us and the launch pad. We'll observe the goo. And let's actually ramp up the power here. Try to stay right around the 200 meter per second mark while we're in the thicker part of the atmosphere. Not waste the too much fuel here. Check and see what we're doing. An apoapsis of 13,000 is not going to make us go anywhere. Let's get some more power in here. And continue climbing. Our apoapsis is up to 24,000, but we are almost out of fuel already. About halfway through our fuel on this stage. Let's go ahead and observe another mystery goo container. It appears to be getting very cold now. And almost to the next part of the atmosphere here. But we are almost out of fuel. So how high are we going? Oh, we actually are going to space today. Briefly. So it looks like we'll end up landing up here. We'll do a good experiment while we're up in space. And then we will, once we land, we'll do actually EVA up in space. Let's go crew report. Keep that data. We can actually drop that off, as we will no longer be needing that stage of our rocket. And let's do an EVA, but we're going to hold on because I'm not really good at flying the spacesuits, or flying in the EVA at this point. And we don't want to float off into the distance while we're drifting in space here. If we were actually in a orbit, then it'd be a little bit easier to deal with, because then you have a lot more time to move around. I don't want to end up having him stranded and stuck out of his spaceship in mid-flight here. So we are going to, let's go crew report. No, we can't get another one. We are in space. Let's observe the mystery goo again. The goo seems to have clumped into a sphere. It also appears to become brittle. We'll keep that data. Since we don't have an antenna, we can't transmit it anyway. I'm going to turn SAS off. We are a minute and a half from our apoapsis, which is the highest point of the above the surface that you're orbiting, or above the object you're orbiting, technically. And the periapsis is the lowest point, but that only happens, only shows up if you are actually in an orbit. There's our second stage fuel tank and engine, 350 meters away from us. So less than a minute away from the apoapsis. And just kind of hanging out here, floating around. And on the way down, we'll try and pick up a couple more crew reports on the various levels of the atmosphere. So really, in order to get anywhere, we're going to need more science, or we need to be a little bit more creative with how we design these rockets. We might try one more design after we land this mission, which we're just about to our peak. Just about to reach the peak, and now we are starting to fall again. Starting to fall towards the surface. There's the, we're still getting further away from the fuel tank and engine, which is a good thing. We don't want to end up running into it accidentally. That would cause problems for everyone. Let's speed up time. Oh, let's turn the throttle off, and then we'll speed up time a little bit. Get us a little bit closer to the, surface here. And down we go, down, down, down. Let's get it slowed down just a little bit. We are back in the atmosphere. We're starting to come into the top level of the atmosphere. Let's stop that. Okay, let's go crew report. Oh, we can't get another crew report. We'll wait until we get a little bit lower to deploy our parachutes here. Well, parachute. And there's our re-entry effects starting to show up. Start aero braking. Hopefully nothing breaks. As far as I know, nothing breaks off quite yet. Crew report. Nope. And there's the aero braking as we drop below the speed of sound. And we'll go ahead and deploy our parachute out. Our drag chute. Have it slow us down. Looks like we're going to be landing on the hills here. And float gently in. Jebediah's quite happy. There's the parachute coming up, open all the way. There's our shadow. As we descend gently to the surface, hopefully we don't break any of the goo containers. Because I don't think we'd get the science from them if it ends up breaking the containers. Not entirely sure about that. I know you don't get science if you have them on a different stage and don't bring them back. So I'm guessing that you don't get the science if they break on landing either. Here we are coming in to land. And just about there. Touchdown. Perfect fit. And we still can't get a different crew report. Let's go ahead and EVA. You kind of picked a strange way of getting out of that. And look at that big smile. Okay, so let's take a surface sample. This is dirt. This is dirt and grass and some small rocks. You suspect this isn't going to be much of a groundbreaking discovery. So 9 more science if we take that back, and another EVA report. And he still doesn't think the spacesuit was really necessary, which it was because we did go to space. There we go. Get back on board and let's recover the vessel. See how much science we end up with. Ooh, 67 science. So get all of that good stuff. And phone going off. Let's go ahead and do some more research here. So, we have some options available. We can go with the general rocketry path, which will get us some more engines and other parts. Max power 215. A little bit lower power, but how is that is that more efficient? 320, 370. Same efficiency, but this one is vectoring, and so it gives us a vectoring rocket. Also gives us these separatrons, which will make things a little bit easier to separate certain stages, and a bigger booster. We can get these radial decouplers, which would be a big help, as well as the nose cones, which I don't know if they do a whole lot yet. They might help things a little bit. Or we can get this engine, which is a much lower power engine, but I believe that this is actually really good for doing things like moon landings and different things like that. And some landing struts. That would be helpful. Make it a little bit less likely to break our rockets as we land. And another type of parachute. we're going to start with that branch. And then we also get radial mount engines. And fuel tanks, these are kind of used a lot for landers. This one gives us a different type of radial decoupler and the launch platforms and struts. We have just enough for this one if we were to get this branch. But I want some other things. I think having these landing struts would be really useful. So we're going to get that. And this is more along the lines of space plane style things, but it also has a unmanned probe that we could use. Down here we have batteries and more science things. We can't afford to get these quite yet anyway. So let's go ahead and get this one, which will let us build bigger rockets because of the decouplers. And we have 14 science left over. Now, let's go ahead and we want to see if we can't do a little bit of tuning. I think this is a decent start to a design. Let's go ahead and make this 4-way. We want the legs to be just inside, well, sort of just inside that coupler. And then down here, we want to take these off and put these radial decouplers. Although what I was thinking we could do is we'll take the radial decouplers here. We're going to stick these like so. Actually, no, we don't need those decouplers. What we want to do is stick these like this, and then we're going to go to propulsion and take, see, we got these bigger boosters. We're going to stick those on just like that. And let's see, what else can we do here? We can also take from here off, and let's change this to this new engine that we got that has the vectoring on it, because that will make the whole rocket a little bit easier to steer once we drop this first stage. And let's call this the GWK Flyer Beta, because it probably won't work a whole lot better, but such is the way things go in the name of science. And let's see, what else can we do? Maybe we should also take this and give ourselves one more stage here with one fuel tank, and let's see. This is probably enough to get us out of orbit, assuming that we actually get to orbit. There we go. Let's save that nice little rocket, and let's go ahead to the launch pad. We are going to see how this works. I'm not holding my breath here, but it should be entertaining to watch. So, without further ado, GWK Flyer Beta, Jebediah is in the pilot seat again and ready to go. in 5. Hold on a second. Staging is wrong here. Let's see. This is this one. Wait, which one is that? This is the lower one. This engine is... This engine should be down here. I think... Okay, so that should do. That should do. Okay, we are ready to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, liftoff. And off it goes. Now the center stage is going to end up burning out really fast compared to the other ones, but that's okay. And we have a bit of a spin going on. But I'm not too worried about where we end up on orbit, just we'll hopefully get there. And center engine's down. Getting more and more spin. I think I might have to tweak the volume settings a bit. This way. Uh-oh. I just dropped the completely full fuel tank. Yep, you're not going to space today. Let's go... Let's go this way. Because we are not going to make it to space on that smaller engine. I did not mean to actually just drop that off. It didn't light up, so I hit the staging again when I should have just throttled up. And so we are just going to go this way, I think, is where we're going. We're just going to go that way until we run out of fuel. And see where we end up. Do a little bit more science. Maybe get enough to unlock a little bit more things. Let's roll so that we are at least level. Or at least the controls are level, that is. And tilt up a little bit more to try and extend this burn out. See if we can burn all the fuel up. And slowly burning through the remaining fuel. We've slowed our descent a little bit, but not much. Continue on. Oh, we've actually got the rocket going upwards again. Barely. We are heading towards the end of this continent here. So for this rocket, we have a little bit of a stability issue early on with it starting to spin up like that, which would make it very hard to actually put it on any sort of an orbit. Okay, we take the SAS off. Extend our landing gear and pop our parachute open. Let that drag us down. There's the engine floating away. And we are slowing down ever so slowly. Let's speed things up a little bit here. Parachute's trying to keep the whole thing vertical, but not able to counteract the aerodynamics of it much yet. There it goes. Okay, we might as well observe our mystery goo. Keep those. And we'll save the last one for when we're back on the ground. And I think this rocket would have done okay had I not messed up the launch. So yeah, there's that. There's the parachute right as the engine stage hits the ground. I do need to tweak the audio settings, see if I can get the rockets a little less loud, at least in my ears. And overall, we had one reasonably successful launch, and one launch that got messed up pretty badly by your friendly neighborhood pilot. Jebediah is happy enough, though. We are almost down to the ground. We'll hop out and take a surface sample because, well, why not? And then we'll recover our vessel. Thunk. Don't tip over. There we go. Let's observe the mystery goo. Get a little bit more science going. We observed the goo. And grab your jetpack and tumble right on off. Okay, hop up. There we go. Look at that big smile. Let's see. Screenshot? That's not a screenshot. I don't know how to take a screenshot. Oh well. EVA report. No, it wasn't. And take a surface sample. Yep, looks like dirt. Okay. You're not getting back in that spaceship. That is way too tall for you, dude. Let's hop back over there. Recover that vessel. And get more science. And head on back. We are going to look at the science that we have available here. We've got 43 science, which unfortunately is not going to be enough to unlock any of these. So we'll have to tweak our flyer beta rocket a little bit. See if we can get that into orbit with the parts that we have on hand. Maybe if we add a winglet or two, might help to stabilize the spin a little bit better. Maybe we'll even set it up something a little bit more ridiculous. But that'll have to wait for the next episode. I hope you guys will enjoy the series, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!